The Ossetians, or Ossetes, are an Iranian ethnic group of the Caucasus Mountains, indigenous to the region known as Ossetia. They speak Ossetic, an Iranian language of the eastern branch of the Indo-European languages family, with most also fluent in Russian as a second language. The Ossetians are mostly Eastern Orthodox Christian, with a Muslim minority. The Ossetians mostly populate Ossetia, which is politically divided between North Ossetia, Alania in Russia, and South Ossetia, which since the 2008 South Ossetia war has been de facto independent from Georgia. Etymology. The Ossetians and Ossetia received the name from the Russians, who adopted the Georgian designations Ossi and Osseti, used since the Middle Ages for the Iranian-speaking population of the Central Caucasus and probably based on the Old Alan self-designation Taz, as the Ossetians lacked any single inclusive name for themselves in the native language. These terms were accepted by the Ossetians themselves already before their integration into the Russian Empire. This practice was put into question by the new Ossetian nationalism in the early 1990s, when the dispute between the Ossetian subgroups of Digron and Ain over the status of the Digron dialect made the Ossetian intellectuals search for a new inclusive ethnic name. This, combined with the effects of the Georgian-Ossetian conflict, led to the popularization of Alania, the name of the medieval Sarmatian confederation, to which the Ossetians traced their origin, and inclusion of this name into the official republican title of North Ossetia in 1994. Subgroups. Ain and the east and south form a larger group of Ossetians. Ains are divided into several subgroups: Alagirs, Kurtats, Tagors, Kuda, Tyul, Urstlul, Chsan. Kuda, the southern group of Ossetians. Tyul in the central part of Ossetia. Chsan in the east of South Ossetia. Digoron in the west. Digors live in Digora district, Araf district, and in some settlements in Kabardino-Balkaria and Mozdik district. Digors in Digora district are Christian, while those living in Araf district are Muslim. They speak Digor dialect. Culture. Mythology. The folk beliefs of the Ossetian people are rooted in the Sarmatian origin and Christian religion, with the pagan gods transcending into Christian saints. The Ahsartag serves the basic pagan mythology of the region. Music history. Prehistory. The Ossetians descend from the Alans, a Sarmatian tribe. About AD 200, the Alans were the only branch of the Sarmatians to keep the culture in the face of a Gothic invasion, and the Alans remaining built up a great kingdom between the Don and the Volga, according to Kuhn, The Races of Europe. Between AD 350 and 374, the Huns destroyed the Alan kingdom, and a few survive to this day in the Caucasus as the Ossetes. Middle Ages. In the 8th century, a consolidated Alan kingdom, referred to in sources of the period as Alania, emerged in the northern Caucasus Mountains, roughly in the location of the latter-day Circassia and the modern North Ossetia. Alania. At its height, Alania was a centralized monarchy with a strong military force and had a strong economy which benefited from the Silk Road. However, after the Mongol invasions of the 1200s, the Alans were forced out of the medieval homeland south of the River Don in present-day Russia. Due to this, the Alans migrated towards the Caucasus Mountains, where they would form three ethnographical groups: the Ain, Digoron, and Kuda. The Jassic people were a fourth group that migrated in the 13th century to Hungary. Modern history. In recent history, the Ossetians participated in Ossetian-Ingush conflict and Georgian-Ossetian conflicts, and in the 2008 South Ossetia war between Georgia and Russia. Key events. 1774, the Iranian Afsharid dynasty starts to disintegrate. North Ossetia becomes part of the Russian Empire. 1801. Following the Treaty of Georgiesk and the abjuring of Georgia from Persian suzerainty, the modern-day South Ossetia territory becomes part of the Russian Empire, along with Georgia. 1922. Ossetia is divided into two parts. North Ossetia remains a part of Russian SFSR. South Ossetia remains a part of Georgian SSR. The 20th of September 1990 Independent Republic of South Ossetia. The republic remained unrecognized, yet it detached itself from Georgia de facto. In the last years of the Soviet Union, ethnic tensions between Ossetians and Georgians in Georgia's former autonomous oblast of South Ossetia and between Ossetians and the Ingushian North Ossetia evolved into violent clashes that left several hundreds dead and wounded and created a large tide of refugees on both sides of the border. Language. The Ossetian language belongs to the Iranian branch of the Indo-European language family. Ossetian is divided into two main dialect groups: Iranian in North and South Ossetia and Digorian of Western North Ossetia. There are some subdialects in those two, like Twalian, Algerian, Kazanian, etc. The Iranian dialect is the most widely spoken. Ossetian is among the remnants of the South-Sarmatian dialect group which was once spoken across Central Asia. Other surviving languages closely related to Ossetian are Yagnobi, Pashto and Pamiri languages, all spoken more than 2,000 kilometers to the east in Afghanistan, northwestern Pakistan and some parts of Tajikistan. Religion. Today, the majority of Ossetians both from North and South Ossetia follow Eastern Orthodoxy. In addition to Christianity, Ossetian ethnic religion is also widespread among Ossetians, with ritual traditions like sacrificing animals, holy shrines, non-Christian saints, etc. There are temples, known as Kuvandan, in most of the villages. According to the research service Radar, North Ossetia is the primary location where Ossetian paganism is practiced, and 29% of the population reported practicing pagan faiths in the 2012 Russian census. Itsagdin is the Ossetian ethnic religion, rising in popularity since the 1980s. History. Prior to the 10th century, Ossetians were a strictly pagan group. However, they were partially Christianized by Byzantine missionaries in the beginning of the 10th century. By the 13th century, most of the Ossetians were Eastern Orthodox Christians as a result of Georgian influence and missionary work. Islam was introduced during the 17th century by the Circassian Kabyle tribe after taking over territory in Western Ossetia occupied by the Diga, although it did not spread to the Ossetian peoples successfully. Ossetia became part of the Russian Empire in 1774, which strengthened Orthodox Christianity considerably by sending missionaries from the Russian Orthodox Church. However, most of the missionaries chosen were churchmen from Christian Orthodox communities living in Georgia rather than from Russia, so as to avoid being seen by the Ossetians as too intrusive. Livelihood. The northern Ossetians export lumber and cultivate various crops, mainly corn. The southern Ossetians are chiefly pastoral, herding sheep, goats, and cattle. Traditional manufactured products include leather goods, fur caps, daggers, and metalware. Demographics. Outside of South Ossetia, there is a also significant number of Ossetians living in north-central Georgia in Trialeti. A large Ossetian diaspora lives in Turkey, and Ossetians have also settled in Belgium, France, Sweden, Syria, the United States, Canada, Australia and other countries all around the world. The vast majority of Ossetians live in Russia. North Ossetia, Alania, 445,300. Moscow, 10,500. Kabardino-Balkaria, 9,800. Stavropol Krai, 7,700. Krasnodar 4100, Karachay-Cherkassia 3200, St. Petersburg 2800, Rostov Oblast 2600, Moscow Oblast 2400. Genetics. The Ossetians are a unique ethnic group of the Caucasus, being the only people found on both the north and south slopes of the mountain, also speaking an Indo-European language surrounded by Caucasian ethno-linguistic groups. The Y haplogroup data indicate that North Ossetians are more similar to other North Caucasian groups, and South Ossetians are more similar to other South Caucasian groups than to each other. Also, with respect to MTD and Ossetians are significantly more similar to Iranian groups than to Caucasian groups. It is thus suggested that there is a common origin of Ossetians from Iran, followed by subsequent male-mediated migrations from the Caucasian neighbors. The genetic makeup is relatively heterogeneous as a result of extensive intermarriage with other ethnic groups in the region. In the medieval, Imperial Russian, Soviet and contemporary periods it has been and is common to find Christian Orthodox Ossetian intermarriage with Georgians, Russians, Armenians, and Pontic Greeks, and Muslim Ossetian intermarriage with Meskhetian Turks, Kabardins, Ingushes, Chechens, and other Muslim communities of especially the North Caucasus. Gallery. Bibliography. Nasser-Ze al. Mitochondrial DNA and Y chromosome variation in the Caucasus. Annals of Human Genetics, Volume 68, page 205, May 2004. Nasser-Ze al. Genetic evidence concerning the origins of South and North Ossetians.